Hi everyone, just a quick sound check. If you can hear me, can you please type something in the chat box below? Wonderful, okay. And we'll just give it 1 or 2 minutes for the other attendees to join. Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome to today's webinar and thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Kristina Mitevska. I'm the product manager here at Ingram. I'm very excited to share some news of the Veeam licenses launching on our cloud marketplace. Joining me today is Bernie. He's our Veeam BDM who will be taking us through the details of the 2 licenses up on cloud marketplace, Veeam Backup for Office 365 and Veeam Backup Essential Universal licenses. We also have Hemant on the call, who's from our cloud team, and will be taking you through how to navigate cloud marketplace and how to purchase these licenses. He'll also share some details around becoming a CMP transacting partner if you're not already. So once again, thank you for joining us today, and I'll pass you over to Bernie to kick off today's session.
Thanks, Chris. Welcome everybody. Good morning, and thank you for joining the call. So as Chris mentioned earlier, I'm the Veeam BDM here at Ingram, and I'll be taking you through some of the Veeam capabilities and the current Ingram Cloud Marketplace offering that we currently have. So, just in terms of what we're going to be talking about, I'll be talking about key features. In Veeam Universal Licensing, I'll be talking about the capabilities with Backup for Office 365. And Hemant will touch on how to become a Veeam partner and also any new cloud native launches that are going to be taking place. And then to close off, Kristina will talk about some awesome promotions that we've got in market at the moment. So the reason why we're here on this call, on this webinar today, is to talk about subscription licensing from a Veeam perspective. I know most of you are already familiar with subscription licensing and consumption-based licensing, but from a Veeam perspective, we'll be talking about what is it for you as a partner, or what's in it for the customer. So we're talking about annual recurring revenue, so as opposed to upfront purchases. It also helps you gaining market share from a backup and data protection offering. I'll touch on Veeam's positioning in the competitive landscape, so you can see how you can actually gain additional revenue streams selling Veeam as a data protection offering for your customers. From a cost perspective, it's cheaper. So there's a little upfront cost that's paid upfront, as opposed to perpetual, socket-based. There's a bit of value for money, and it's flexible and it's profitable. So who am I, and who are the team, the Ingram Veeam team? So we've got myself, I mentioned earlier, I've got my counterpart, Jacob, for the cloud service providers, so as in the MSPs. So we've got 2 offerings. So we've got a resale offering, and then we've got an MSP offering. So from an MSP perspective, Jacob looks after that portfolio, and then I look after from a resale perspective, so the SKUs that are on marketplace or any other SKUs that we sell here at Ingram Micro. And Chris as well on the call, who opened earlier, she's our Veeam product manager. She's dedicated to Veeam, as myself and Jacob. And we also have an in-house solution architect. So for the deep dive technical discussions that you may want to have, scoping exercise and proof of concepts, etc., where you need additional skill sets. We've got skill sets in-house. You can leverage our internal solution architect, and that's been catch. So 2021, what are the challenges that customers are facing from a holistic overview, right? So zero tolerance to downtime. I always use an Uber analogy, right? So back in the day, you were comfortable waiting for a couple of, maybe 20, 30 minutes for a taxi. But this day and age, if an Uber is 10 minutes late, chances are you'll cancel that. So similarly with customers as well. So when they're making online purchases, if it takes too long, let's say a website is down, an e-commerce platform is down, chances are they'll abandon the sale and go to a competitor. So there's zero tolerance for downtime. So that's the need to always have continuous backup, and as well as the increase in ransomware attacks. Compliance goals as well. And with a lot of people working from home in the pandemic, there's a growing need to protect company data at home as well. So I'll touch on Veeam backup for Office 365 later. So users basically, what that means is they can't wait for IT to catch up. So it has to be available when needed. That's why there's always a need for backup and data protection. Now, why Veeam? So it can't be a presentation without a Gartner site. So this is July 2021. So this year, again, 5th year in a row, Veeam is a market leader from a data protection and backup. So the Magic Quadrant for enterprise backup and recovery software solution, Veeam came up tops. And that tells you how the product is well received. It's got a high net promoter score. For those not familiar with the net promoter score, so net promoter score means the probability of the customer returning for a repeat purchase or referring to another customer. So it's got a high customer satisfaction rate, and the product it leads in terms of innovation as well, and ease of use among other features. So this number keeps growing. So the last, this was released at Veeam early on this year. So there were over 1 million VMs being backed up by Veeam, and 100 petabytes worth of data. So that's a lot. That's a lot of customers currently using Veeam. So it's an all-in-one solution, and the new version 11 comes with over 150 plus enhancements. So on top of what was released in version 10. And key to that is CDP, continuous data protection. And from a licensing perspective, the reason why we now have Veeam on our Ingram microcloud marketplace is because the trend is within the industry, it's moving towards a consumption-based licensing model. So, and that fits in Veeam's overall strategy of modern data protection. They started off as just backup and replication, and then evolved into a hybrid cloud product, and then now the next generation IT, futuristic. We're talking about Kubernetes and containers. So Veeam now backs up workloads in those. So it's an all-in-one solution. Now let's talk about the shift from to hybrid cloud. So there are a lot of workloads being run on-prem, and there's also a lot of workloads being run in the hyperscalers, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. So and Veeam fits in all those perimeters. So in terms of figures, 96% of organizations will accelerate to the cloud at some stage. So the shift to the cloud, so that train is moving. It's not stopping at all. In terms of cloud backups, that's gone up 81% in the past 2 years. And it's projected that by 2023, 51% of all disaster recovery workloads will be cloud-based. So Veeam promotes that hybrid multi-cloud offering as well. And we're talking about what's actually under the hood in Veeam backup and replication. So you have CDP. Now, a lot of backup vendors charge an arm and a leg for CDP, continuous data protection. With Veeam, and with the release of the new version, the new latest and greatest, version 11, CDP comes included, free, no extra charge. There are now enhancements from a ransomware protection as well. And you can actually leverage Azure Glacier, for cheaper long-term storage retention, and instant file level recovery as well. And then for backup as a service and DR as a service, their inbuilt capabilities as well. So now let's talk about the core product, Veeam backup and replication. So it does both backup and replication. You can use it on-prem or in the cloud. It's got security features as previously mentioned, and integrations with most storage vendors, and you can replicate from on-prem to the cloud or in a multi-cloud environment from cloud to cloud. And there's also a product, it's not on marketplace just yet, but just to quickly touch on it, it's called Disaster Recovery Orchestrator. That's for automation as well. But in a nutshell, that's where the Veeam operates in. So I touched on this earlier when I was doing the introduction, just to briefly touch on it again. It's subscription is the way to go. Now, this license that's on Cloud Marketplace, you can actually use that license anywhere. So this is the Veeam Backup Essentials. Veeam, it's a universal license, so you can use it in any of the hyperscalers. So AWS, Azure, Google, IBM, and it's agnostic, hypervisor agnostic. So regardless of whether you're running VMware, Microsoft Hyper-V, or Nutanix Acropolis, AHV, you can use that license in any of those environments. So what about a customer that doesn't have workloads in the cloud and just has workloads on-prem, and those servers, let's just say they're not virtualized. Let's say they've got physical servers on premise that are running either Windows or Linux, or let's say they've got MacBooks that they need to back up. So you can use that license to back those as well. So for workstations, let's say for laptops, Windows-based OS, you can one license covers 3, and then for servers, it's 1-for-1. From a VM perspective, it's 1-for-1. And then for mail, for Office 365, another product that's we've now launched on Marketplace is Veeam Backup for Office 365. And then I touched on containers earlier and Kubernetes. Veeam has a product called Castin that backs up those as well. But in a nutshell, it's one license fits all. It's so easy. You don't need a separate license for a VMware workload. You don't need a separate license for Hyper-V. You don't need a separate license in Azure. You don't need a separate license for a Windows server or a MacBook. It's the same license. The only difference is these are licensed per node, but for Office 365, it's licensed per user mailbox, with shared mailboxes being free. So let's say you've got a client with an accounting firm with 15 staff. To license that, you just need to count and say, okay, how many users do they have? They've got 15 staff. How many mailboxes? They've got 20. The other shared mailboxes, so those are free. Only the user mailboxes are the ones that you need to license. And then from a server perspective, you just need to count how many VMs they're running, and you just need to license all of those. If they're just running physical workloads, similarly, you just need to count how many servers they're running. So it's nice and easy. It's an easy way to license. So the package that we've put up on Marketplace is Veeam Backup Essentials. Now, let me explain the difference between Veeam Backup Essentials and the Veeam Availability Suite. So effectively, they're basically the same. So I know the name Essentials makes it look as if it's a watered down product. That's not correct. It's actually the full-blown Veeam suite, so which comes with Veeam Backup and Replication, and it also comes with Veeam One monitoring. So it's a monitoring tool. You can see how your backups are running. If your VMs are failing, you can schedule jobs. You can run health checks, and gives you nice reporting as well. So it's Veeam Backup and Replication plus Veeam One reporting. Now, the reason why we've started off with Veeam Backup Essentials on Marketplace is it's ideally Veeam Availability Suite is ideally for enterprise customers, 50 VMs or more, but for Veeam Backup Essentials, you can license 50 virtual machines and under. And that's what we've loaded up. And it also comes with the agents included if you want to run workloads in the hyperscalers. And it's an annual SKU compared to other marketplace SKUs that are monthly SKUs. This one is an annual SKU, and it's just the way that Veeam is consumed, and we've just extended that onto Marketplace. So you just pay annually, and that's it. For Essentials is sold in packs of 5. So one license covers 5 instances. So if a customer has, let's say, 16 virtual machines they need to license, so ideally you'd license 15 and potentially decommission 1 or 2, or you'd license 20 and have 3 spare. The cost is actually it's a very affordable license, and yeah, but it's only available in packs of 5. So I'm just briefly going to touch on some of the licenses, so I don't quickly bore you. As I touched on, workstation, one universal license covers 3 workstations or 1 server. So for the VMs, it's 1 each, and for Veeam Backup for NAS, it's in packs of 500 gig packs. But this product's are not a marketplace, so you can disregard that one for now. And so what does it cover? So the difference between the traditional socket-based licenses and what we've loaded on Marketplace, the Veeam Universal license, is, as you can see, there's certain editions available that have certain feature sets. For instance, on a socket-based license, you'd need the Enterprise Plus version to get continuous data protection, CDP. But with the universal license on Marketplace, it already comes included, no extra fee. Things like archive tier, agents for Mac, they're not available on normal socket-based licenses, but you can get that on Cloud Marketplace, via the Veeam Universal license. RESTful APIs as well, all included in the license. And then Veeam Backup for 365, as I touched on, by user, and these are the others are some of the other products that are available as well. So from a perpetual versus subscription, it's ideally a capex versus an opex conversation. So if you're talking to your customers around, if they can free up some cash flow and use an opex model instead of an upfront capex model. It's a multi-cloud license as well. As I touched on, you can use it in any workload. And so people always ask, so can customers buy, either or? And yes, they can, but VUL has more features. And the challenge is VUL subscription and perpetual licenses, they can't be merged together in the same environment. So what happens if a customer already had perpetual licenses and they need to buy the latest, VUL licenses? What do they need to do? In that situation, feel free to reach out and we can have a conversation around how we can get them migrated from perpetual to universal licenses, and then that way they can enjoy the benefits. But if they had an existing licenses on-prem and wanted to purchase the new licenses via marketplace, in that instance, they'll need to merge the keys. But if it's a brand new greenfield customer, that's easy. They can just proceed and buy. So, but however, if it's the same customer, and let's say they've got they're running workloads at two different sites that are totally independent, in that case, yes, if they've got two different management servers, they can run some at one site and some on the other. But if they're on the same site, they cannot merge. So it's always better to convert. So in terms of the offering that we have on Marketplace, so if you navigate to Ingram Cloud Marketplace site, so Hemant is going to touch on where to find the SKUs and and how to order. But yeah, we've got Veeam Backup Essentials I touched on, which is pretty much Veeam Availability Suite. But the only reason why it's called Essentials is because it's capped at 50 VMs, and you'd find that many customers will fit in that category. And we also have Veeam Backup for Office 365. Now, Veeam Backup for Office 365, so it backs up SharePoint, Exchange Online, OneDrive, and Teams. So you don't need a separate licenses. You don't need a separate license for any of those. It just licenses all of those in a suite, and it's licensed per user mailbox, and shared mailboxes are free. So you just need to count the user mailbox. Why CDP? It's one of the most exciting features that Veeam announced this year and generated a lot of buzz, because the top competitors are, as you can see, Commvault, Dell EMC, Veritas, and Certo. They charge an arm and a leg for CDP, but with Veeam and with the cost of purchasing Veeam Essentials and universal licenses and getting it for free, that's a game changer. In terms of costs, for VM replication, Veeam is actually very, very competitive. It's easy to deploy and configure. It's point and click. But if you need assistance from a deployment perspective, you can reach out. We also offer Veeam deployment services. So if you've got a customer that you need assistance with deploying Veeam, feel free to reach out to myself or Kristina, and we can help you navigate. We can do the deployment for you. We've partnered with a Veeam, the only in Veeam VASP accredited service provider from a deployment perspective in Australia. So we can do the deployment with them on your behalf, wearing your jersey. So things like vCloud Director support are some of the key features that we've got. And soon soon, Veeam backup for Red Hat is coming. Unfortunately, I don't have a release date yet, but Veeam backup for RHV is soon to come. And if it's licensed the way every other product is licensed, I can bet on it. It'll be included in the Veeam backup universal license that is currently available. So customers running Red Hat workloads, they'll be able to get that as well. Release date soon. Watch this space. I don't have the dates just yet, but that's coming up soon. So next steps, I'm going to hand over. Actually, before we get to that, I might hand over to Hemant to touch on how to procure. If you've got any questions around the content I've touched on so far, feel free to pop the questions in the chat box, and then we'll have some time towards the end of the call so I can address some of those questions. But in the meantime, I'm going to pass on to Hemant so he can help you navigate on the IAM Cloud Marketplace and to find the SKUs and how to set up and how to register. All right, thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks, Bernard. Let me know when you can see my screen and that you can hear me.
Yeah, we can see. Feel free to go ahead.
Cool, perfect. So basically, the screenshots Bernard showed you previously were from our content website. You can access that. All of you can access that. It's a public domain. It's just au.cloud.im, and you can search for Veeam, and you can just pick the Veeam backup solutions, and you can go and have a quick look at what the offerings are. Now, this is also a landing page in case you want to log into Cloud Marketplace. You can log in through using your existing credentials with Ingram. So if you have IAM Online or TechLink credentials, you can log in through that using the option that's, let me just quickly show you what that looks like. So there's two login options here. Login with IAM Online, you can use existing credentials. If you're a Cloud Marketplace customer, they can use both the options if you have a native account as well. If you do not have an active Cloud Marketplace account, you can reach out to us and we can help you through the process. It's fairly simple. You will just need the existing credentials and you activate your account and you get access to Cloud Marketplace. So when you log in, what you would essentially see is instead of become a reseller, you'll see control panel, and when you click on that, you'll get a Cloud Marketplace. Now, this is the Ingram Micro Cloud Marketplace. To search Veeam, it's really simple. You can either search by the vendor name, or you can go to the industry vertical and you can click on it and it'll show you and let you get to the same point again. So you just click on backup solutions, or you can just do Veeam, hit enter. It'll show you all the product groups and the various SKUs we currently have. Today, we're just focusing on backup solutions. So we click on that and that'll show you your two SKUs and a summary regarding what they are. So for this example, I'm just going to go through a very quick procurement process for the Office backup solution. So we add that to the cart and then we hop into our cart. So there is a prerequisite for Veeam, and I'll kind of touch on that when we get there. So it does have a minimum requirement of 10. So you have to buy 10 licenses at minimum. You can also create quotes on Marketplace in case you need to. Then they can be internal or external, and they will be locked to our buy price and MSRP. So if it's external, you can just leave it at MSRP. If it's internal, you can add the additional columns to have margin and cost price as well. Veeam procurement process is just a 4-step process. The first one, the last step being common for all our orders. So the first one being your summary, where you pick your quantities, which you are in the previous page. Next is you'll pick an account. So this will either be an existing customer that you have on Marketplace, or you can create a new customer account. Now, these are customer accounts that are native Cloud Marketplace, so you need to have them created on Marketplace themselves. In this case, I'm just going to pick my test account. I'm happy with that. I click next. And this is the only prerequisite that we're going to request from you, which is a Veeam ID, which is a reseller pro partner ID. Now, to get this ID, all you have to do is hop on to propartner.veeam.com and go through the enrollment process. It's absolutely free, it's really quick, but it is a requirement for Cloud Marketplace because this is how Veeam deciphers which reseller this customer is going to sit under. So once you have that put in, you click next, it gives you a summary, and that's pretty much it. So then provisions on Cloud Marketplace, and you get sent across the notifications regarding the provisioning. In terms of if you aren't an Ingram Micro partner and you want to become a partner, reach out to us again. For Cloud Marketplace, you can reach out to myself or any of the BDMs, and they'll point you in the right direction to the regional BDM on the cloud side as well. That's all for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Bernie and Hemant. So there was a question in the chat box. Might just run through them. So will the webinar be shared after? Yes, this recording will be shared to all of you post-webinar, so you can refer back to it. Second question, is the Office 365 minimum 10 licenses then purchased individually, or must it be purchased in multiples of 10? I believe that it is a minimum of 10, and then you can add 11, 12, 13. It's not multiples of 10. If there's any further questions, feel free to put them in the chat box or reach out to us after this webinar. We'd be happy to answer it. I'll just take you through the offer. So we currently have an awesome offer in market for Veeam at the moment. So for any new Veeam transactions on the Cloud Marketplace, we'll be sending you through a $100 e-gift card. So post this webinar, we'll also share more information with you as a follow-up that'll be covering what's been discussed today in more detail. So again, please feel free to reach out to either one of us for more information. Thank you everyone again for joining today's session. I hope you have a great day. And I'll pass on to Bernie just in case he had anything else to add.
Thanks a lot, Chris. So I'd kept some free time for questions, but if no one has any questions, but yeah, just let me know. I'll quickly, if you need to reach out to me, and we'll share our details as well when we share the presentation, so you can reach out to me if you've got a client or question around Veeam. I'm happy to do that. What I normally tend to do with some partners is I kind of get on calls with their customers. So if they've got a question around Veeam and they're not quite familiar with Veeam, they organize a call with their customer or their client, and I'm happy to jump on a call with their customer to talk about Veeam, the product and the solution. And I'll talk everything else except pricing, and I'll defer pricing conversations to the partner, so you can have those conversations with the customer. But anything else that you may need to have a chat with your client around, feel free to let me know. I had given that we've only got an hour in this presentation, so I kind of I gave a high level overview of the products and the solution. But if you need some deep dive training on some of the products, if you need me to deep dive on Veeam Backup for Office 365, the reasons why, the compelling reasons why, there are many compelling reasons. If you look up, when you've got time, look up the Microsoft shared responsibility model. So many customers will say, oh, okay, we've got, Office 365, Microsoft backs it up. That's incorrect. So if you look up the shared responsibility model, it's a Microsoft document. It actually clearly states that backup or data protection, is or for SaaS products is the customer's responsibility. So, and there are many reasons why. For example, accidental deletion. Malware. There's so many reasons why you need backup for Office 365. From a server perspective, from a server infrastructure and a workstation perspective, yeah, happy to deep dive. But if there aren't any further questions, thank you once again for taking the time to join this webinar and this call. And yeah, make use of those $100 gift cards that we'll be sending over to you for the first 20 partners that start transacting Veeam before the end of the year. And you've got pretty good runway. The promo is valid till this December 31st. So yeah, feel free to take up that offer and some cards for the festive season. Yeah, that's it for me. And thank you once again.
Thank you.